You're listening to She's the Business podcast.
Okay, and welcome, Tamsin. I'm so glad to have you with me on the podcast today. Tamsin is the founder of Email Parade and an email marketing expert, and somebody who I've known pretty much my whole journey in this business because she actually used to be supporting me with all my email marketing. So love to chat with Tamsin. There's so much value here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jess.
Yes, very good. Now, can you, for everybody else's benefit, give them the 1 minute or, a few sentences about what it is exactly that you do and who you help in your business?
Yeah, sure. So as Jess said, I am the owner of Email Parade, formerly the Email Marketing Mum. So I work with small to medium businesses, so solopreneurs, service-based and e-commerce, to help them with their email marketing strategy as well as full implementation services. So it's really about creating a personalized experience. And I know within the last few years, thanks to the pandemic, we've actually excelled how we operate online. And a lot of people who do shop online, they are expecting tailored experiences. And I think that email marketing is a great way to do that because it's an opt-in channel. So people want to hear from you. And that's really what I communicate to clients because they do tend to come to me and they're not quite sure how to have a better experience with their customers and how to go about it, but they know email marketing is going to help them. So I try and bridge that gap and really just create a lot of value for them and a lot of automated value, which is really key because you do spending all day online emailing people. It's just not going to happen. No. As much as you want to, you've got better things to be doing with your day and running your business. So email marketing absolutely helps with that 100%.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned personalized there because I think that email, even though it's been around for so long, like you and I both have got careers back in corporate that go back years and years and years, longer than we probably like to admit. But, email has been around for ages. It's been a primary form of communication. But aside from, out of all of the ways that you can connect with your audience and market to them, it is the most personalized way because you're literally in somebody's private inbox when you're connecting with them.
And it's really interesting you say that because I remember when I started in direct marketing and we were using email marketing, we had to outsource our emails to agencies and one email would cost about $2,000. It was insane because they had to build everything from scratch, every template.
Yes.
And that was just to get one email out. I think it was maybe the early 2000s when like MailChimp started to become a thing.
Yeah.
And that's when accessibility came for small business owners to get online and to be able to be more in charge of their own marketing. So that's really exciting because it's really just within the last 20 years or less that this has actually become a mainstream thing for business owners. So it's no wonder that not everybody really understands it because you think of social media, it's gettable. You actually can have a personal account and a business account. Whereas with emails, you receive some emails, but you don't necessarily send them out to a bunch of people. So that's a whole different mindset that people need to get their heads around because it can be a little bit daunting to know that you've got one message going out to hundreds of people and you want to make sure everybody's going to have a good experience with that.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that, you would have seen as well in the last few years, especially is with email, because you are sending it out to hundreds of people at once, what we used to do was sort of talk as if you're talking to a whole crowd, and emails used to be so impersonal. Like when you're getting one of the bulk emails from a company, it actually felt like that. You just felt like you're just someone on a list, like I'm just a number. But the times have changed a lot. And I know you and I are both very passionate about this because we love to make it personal. But tell me a bit more about the change that you've seen with personalization in emails and why, what does this really mean? Why is it so important?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would see personalization as including someone's first name. It's more than that. It's actually about creating segments and meeting people where they are. So, for example, we'll talk about this today, but with a welcome sequence, a new subscriber is a segment of people who have come onto your list and they need to be treated in a different way as opposed to a customer or a client who has agreed to work with you or who wants to, who will be going through a different set of comms and messaging. So it's about meeting people where they are, and even more so, it's about looking at their behavior. So when you have your email marketing platform integrated, say, with your website, you can see on your list who's been visiting your page and what pages. You can get quite granular with that stuff. So then you start to know who's interested in the service, and that could even trigger some kind of message or automation to that person. So that's really the power of personalization. It's not so much about, hi first name. It's more about treating them as they're moving around your business and they're inquiring and they're kind of in your back end doing stuff. You can actually meet them where they are. So it's a really nice way to be reactive, but you can also be proactive and getting your message out there. Say if you're launching or you've got a new product or your prices are increasing or you've got a great bit of educational content, you can also do that as well. So it kind of does everything. But yeah, I think as I was saying, like back in the day, people and businesses could get away with talking at people, and they could get away with just sending, let's face it, really bad looking emails and respond because there was no competition at that stage. But now it is really tough. And people are expecting a heck of a lot more from businesses.
Yeah, and just think about what your own behavior is now when you get an email in your inbox that you just feel like, well, there's a bit of a disconnect there, or this is not really what I'm that keen on. You're like, bang, straight away, unsubscribe, you're out of there. So,
absolutely. And it's not about frequency. Like I've got people that I hear from all the time, sometimes almost daily, because I do follow a lot of copywriters and coaches and that kind of stuff. But because their emails are engaging and they're tailored to me, I will most likely open them at least and read most of the email. That doesn't annoy me because it's really on point. And I think that once you understand people who want to hear from you are interested, it sort of breaks down that barrier of you feeling like you're like bothering people or you're being too in their face. I think we just need to stop that kind of feeling, because once you connect with people, you need to be talking more about what it is that you offer, not less.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that, because it's that switch from being like, well, I want to send this email out because I have something that I want to say, to actually what is it that I'm going to say today that they really want to hear, or that they will find value. And it's like becomes more of a service that you're sending the email, as opposed to a need or desire on your part, which might be like about your own needs, like I want to find a new client or I want someone to buy from me. Well, that's your need, but what is it that they need? They aren't interested in that. And so when that switch happens, like you say, it doesn't matter so much about the frequency. It's actually because you're leading with value, you're leading with by service.
Absolutely. So and that you can help people with the content that you have. So why would you hold on to that? It's almost like it's a bit of a selfish act to not share that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think something you said a minute ago, someone who's new into your audience is a different subset than somebody who's been in there for a while. And you only have to just think about that from the perspective of your own life. Like think about someone that you've just met and how you speak to them or engage with them versus someone who's been a mate for 10 years. You're going to talk to them differently. You're on a different playing field there with them. And it's like in your emails, like you say, it's like the same thing. We don't just talk to everybody the same way, no matter whether they've been around for ages or not. And being able to treat them differently makes all the difference, because someone brand new, there's things that they need to know. There's things that they might, it's that introductory bit, getting to know you, which is so critical to actually them becoming a long-standing member of your audience. So that probably brings us into the whole like welcome sequence. Like why a welcome sequence? What is one? Let's start there, because I guess that is your first touch point, isn't it? Once they decide to join the list.
I think, first of all, it's about understanding that email marketing is a permission-based marketing channel. So as you said before, somebody will have to opt into your list. So that means that they input their information, and that's personal information, to receive content from you. So it's a very deliberate decision. And to get them there, you would have had to have made some kind of good first impression. So your website or the ease of your form. So you've actually done a lot of the hard work, but now you just have to become impressive. And a way to do that is to send a welcome sequence that's automated and it meets people where they are. So with the welcome sequence, it's really about setting the tone for a relationship. In an automated way. So the trigger is somebody comes onto your list, they are new, your email platform will let you know, or it will know. And then that will trigger the first email to go out. And then you'll have timed emails that will drip feed over the course of, I like to say, 7 to 10 days that allow people to get to know you, get educated and that kind of stuff, and understand how to work with you and why to work with you and what sets you apart. So it does quite a lot. I have to say, like, a welcome sequence isn't very passive. It may feel like it is because you're welcoming somebody in, but it's not a passive piece of content at all. And it's very powerful. If you think about when someone comes onto your list, there's a bit of momentum that started building. And if you don't email them very quickly, then that momentum drops off completely. If you just wait for your next newsletter or maybe the next time you feel like emailing your list or whatever, you need to capitalize on that interest when it's at its peak. And that's why people expect to hear from you. So with that comes typically higher open rates, which is great for you, and better deliverability, which is what you want in your email platform. So all round, you're creating a great customer experience, but your sender reputation and your stats are also looking really good as well. But I think essentially with a welcome sequence, it's about nurturing and qualifying new leads. And you want to do that as soon as possible. So providing educational content, addressing commonly asked questions, building a case for working with you and increasing that likelihood of them converting into clients. That's what it does, essentially. So yeah, I don't know if you sort of have anything to add to that, Jess, but I kind of feel like it's really about breaking down barriers that people may have and just letting them know why you are the best person to work with over, say, your competition or the person next to you.
Yeah. No, I love what you said there. And, I think that that's so important to remember is that when someone has taken that action to join your list, they have done that. They may not have actually heard of you before. It might have been something that's popped up in front of them. They've gone, yes, I want to download whatever it is or opt into a free training or whatever it is that you're offering in exchange for their email. And if you don't respond, what you said, we were kind of letting that momentum just drop down straight away. They might actually forget who you are by the time you email next. Whereas if you respond immediately, that you've got that opportunity to cement that connection and actually make it a greater connection and actually grow it and be in their memory. So I think that's probably why is it so important to really think about your welcome sequence? I think you've kind of nailed it in that, because what's the point in doing all the work to get someone on your list if then they kind of forget who you are and then they're like, who's this person emailing me? Bang, unsubscribe. You don't really want that to happen. You want to go, right, here's an opportunity. They've taken that step. Let's see if this is is there something here to continue? And not everyone who subscribes is going to be your ideal customer. They're not always going to be the right fit, but that's okay. It's kind of like, how do we make sure we're bringing those people up out of your subscriber list and into, your inner circle?
Absolutely. And I think a great way to ensure you are going to get more, let's call them qualified leads, but it may not even be that strong, like people who are interested in what you have to offer and who are interested, they would be attracted to you by what you're offering. So they're not just going to hand over their email address because they want updates or to know what services are like, as much as I would love for that to happen. It'll make my but you are offering something of value to them. And usually that comes in the form of some kind of freebie or a lead magnet, some kind of sign-up incentive. So that already is going to help them understand, oh, I think you might be the person for me. And I've got this free thing that I can use. And it's a great tool. And I'm going to read it and try to use it. And that is in parallel with your welcome sequence, because it gives you a reason to contact people. First and foremost, you've got to deliver the thing that you promised. But it also helps you create a conversation with people. And it really does help you to qualify the right people at the time. Even if people are unsure or they're just having a bit of interest, at least it's better than someone who is just browsing or tire kicking. You kind of want someone who's a little bit more serious.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I think a lot of people might be thinking, okay, I kind of get it. I get why I need to contact people and build this rapport. What on earth do I send them? Because even the words welcome sequence might have some people starting to go, that sounds really complicated, or what on earth does that mean? So what sort of emails or what sort of content do we want to be sending out in this welcome sequence so that we're achieving that goal of, whether or not they buy from us, but at least they are, now actively a member of our email community and hopefully open future emails? What kind of things do we want to be sending?
So I think if you look at it in terms of chunks of content, which you can look at as whole emails, so there's sort of 5 key areas that I work with clients on. The first one is the immediate response. So the welcome email, it is literally the welcome email of the welcome sequence.
Yeah.
That is immediately after sign up, sending that as soon as possible. Not even like I've seen people wait an hour or 2 hours before sending out the first email. I don't understand that. And I have corrected many a welcome sequence in my time.
Instant response.
If someone has asked for something from you, you send that email immediately and you create a really friendly greeting, obviously by name. You make it really personal and you deliver that freebie, the sign up incentive, up front. I've also seen welcome emails where you have to read a whole page of text before you get to the link at the bottom. You don't want that. You want to put it up front, literally saying, here is what the thing that you wanted, here it is, and you deliver it straight away. You can talk a little bit about yourself, but that's not the main reason for that. You don't want paragraphs and paragraphs of who expectations for what they're going to get with you. So that can be a really simple paragraph. It doesn't have to be, a whole list of stuff. It can just be now that you're on my list, you'll get this, this, and this. And, you might hear from me in the next couple of days, and really just helping them understand what's coming next, which can also set up great expectations for them. So, and then with this email, if you don't have a double opt-in, think about how you can get people to add your email address to their safe senders list, because your email may have come through to the promos tab. It may have gone into spam. We really hope it doesn't. But if it does, you can then get people and prompt them to say, make sure you don't miss an email from me. Add my email address to your address book or drag my email into your inbox or primary tab so you don't miss another email. That's really setting people up to make sure that they do get your content to where they're going to read it. So really keep the first email or the first bit of content as short and sharp as you can, but make it really engaging.
Yeah, I love that. So I think it's really, that initial, when you meet someone, you don't just want to hear all about them. You've signed up for something that you wanted because it sounded like it was valuable to you. And probably the first question you've got is, am I in the right place? Is this the place, a space that I want to continue to be in? Delivering that thing that you promised is a really good indication of, well, here's how the relationship works. You requested something, I delivered it. So that's so powerful. And I think I love how it's like, let's not try to give the whole story on email one, just give them what they asked for and let them know and feel like they're in the right place. Giving them that context of what this is about, what they're going to expect when they remain on this email list. That just seems really easy, doesn't it? And
and it sounds like common sense, because it is. Like, if you think about, if someone asked you for something in real life, you would give it to them. You wouldn't ignore them and walk away. You would deliver the thing that they've asked for. So again, it's the same principle.
Yeah, brilliant. So what comes next after you've delivered the incredible thing that you have for them?
So really, it's they might at this point want to know a bit more about you. Of course, they can go to your website, they can see you on social media, but really it's about introducing yourself, because especially if you're a service-based business, it may be a one-to-one service that you are offering or a digital product. People want to know, are you qualified, or do you have the experience? What is your background? They kind of want to know who you are. So it's really about showing people that there's a real human behind the business as well. And that's why an about email or piece of content is really, really important to include in a welcome sequence. So if you start to think about what's going to help them get to know you better, quicker, and it may be how you came to be in business, because that's really great for an expert who goes very deep or is very niched. You want to know that your expert, the expert that you're potentially going to work with, is really well grounded in the in the subject that you're looking to solve, or the problem that you're looking to solve. So I want to know, if that's me, I would like to know, what experience do you have? How much experience do you have? And that's not to say that you have to give out a whole resume, but if you can say, I've been working, for 20 plus years, like you have, within like the marketing sector, and therefore that is going to help you. So you always relate it back to the audience. And it just gives them a much better sense of how experienced you are. Another example with about or brand type story email might be if you've started your business and you're helping people who have a shared similar experience. So that may have come off the back of something that you've had. It may be overcoming some adversity. It may be something that you're really passionate about, and people want to work with you because they share that same passion. For Jess, I know with you, you coach people, so people will want to know what it's like to work with you. And you actually talk a little bit about yourself. You may even say like, hey, I'm a mum with two kids. And so they want to know and feel some kind of connection. They need something to hold on to. And I know a lot of people talk about this rags to riches idea of like, I was this and now I'm that. And I think that's kind of not really a connecting piece, because it's really talking about you, but what is the thing that you can connect with someone on? The most important thing about that is to ask them to share their story, to share why they chose you, or what, and like any kind of question that you can think of to get them to reply, because that's going to start a two-way conversation, which is what email marketing is all about, is a two-way conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just makes it feel so much more personal. Again, like coming back to that personalization, you're asking them a question and actually inviting them to reply to you. You're not just speaking at them. You're actually opening up a way to have a conversation, which is really great. And it's so wonderful when people do reply and you feel like, wow, there's actual people out there, they're enjoying the emails, they're connecting, and, it's a really good sign to have when you get that response. I love you shared that, because I think the rags to riches, or the story, that is, like, for some people it is their story, but there's so many other ways to connect, and it's like you don't have to create one that doesn't exist. If that's not you and it's not your story, don't make it your story. Like, that's not my story. My purpose and reason for being here was because I wanted to create a life of freedom where I can choose the hours I work. I can choose how much I travel. I can choose to spend time with the kids. And it doesn't have to mean that I earn less either. Like, I can work less, earn more, and have the freedom that I want in life. That's really what I'm passionate about and believe in. And that's how I've designed my business. And that's also what I do with other people. So when I talk to my story, it's about that. It's about the vision that, we don't have to buy into that old way of thinking that work is a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week or more, or you've got to, just burn yourself out if you're a business owner. Like, I just do not subscribe to that at all. And
or the hustle culture.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, I attract people who also believe in that and are like, yes, it's 100% what they want in their life. And people who want the hustle, like, they're probably not attracted to me, and that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in different places.
And I think you do a great job of that, particularly with your welcome sequence and within your about sort of email, or your brand story email, where you do lay all that out for people So yeah, and I'm glad to hear that people do reply to you as well, because that's awesome. That's absolutely what you want from this type of content, is you want people to engage with you. You know, don't be afraid with these ideas that we're talking about today to start putting in ideas around ways of working with you. So it doesn't have to be a hard sell, but you really should include, and this could be an example within this email of, here's 3 ways that we can work together. And you can have, you know, if you've got services, for example, you might have your lower cost, your medium, and your higher, if you've got different tiers, or you can say, here's 3 ways that I help people. It's all in the wording, but you're starting to open them up to the possibility of working with you. So you do need to start talking about how you help people, and it kind of has a natural flow on from where you talk about yourself relating to their problem, and then how you can work. It's just like a really natural conversation to have, which is why I absolutely love this style of email.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can see it's sort of, here's the thing that you asked for, here's a bit about me, and, you know, about their problem, and also the credibility that you understand it and you've solved it. And then, of course, it's natural for them to start to think, well, okay, well, could this be somebody who could help me? What might that look like? You're actually then just delivering the answer to that next question that they have in their mind. And it doesn't mean, like you said, you know, it doesn't mean you're listing out your services or anything, but you might just at a high level be like, here are 3 ways you could, you know, I could help you. You could take this free training, you could join a program, or you could work with me one-to-one. Like, they can be 3 totally different things, or they might just be 3 tiers of a service where you're like, you know, start off with something basic, dive in a bit, or let's go the full hog. You don't have to give all the detail, but you just give them that taster of like, hey, there are different ways that we can work together. And then that call to action, like, what do you want them to do next? And
you know, you may get people who are really keen, and so they want to book a discovery call with you. So that might be your one-to-one call to action. A free training might be a link to a landing page, a sales page. So, you know, you can link to different things within the one email and get people visiting your site or booking calls with you. It doesn't have to be a very one structured path, because you are trying to cater to different needs. You will get people, and you've touched on this before, where you'll get people who are ready to buy. Maybe they're inquiring, or they're just researching. These are 3 very different types of people you will have on your list. So you're really trying to sound people out and qualify them as the leads that are going to, you know, they needed you yesterday. So those are the ones that are ready to buy. You've got people who are open to working with you, and you've got people who are just at the beginning of their journey and they're just sounding you out. That's why you really need to meet people where they are by providing this sort of suite of services or ideas of how they could work with you to get them to open up to that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. So what do you do next after you've given them the ways to work? Is there
what could be left? What's left?
What else is there? Why haven't you done this yet?
So when they've opted into your list, you've provided them with the freebie, and it really is kind of like a gateway to how you work and what you can offer them. But it doesn't really mean that you can just, you know, leave them and then keep talking about something else. So what a really nice thing to do is to check in with somebody. So to check in with them is to say, you know, hey, I just wanted to see if you've had fun, or, you know, if you've managed to action the list or the lead magnet or the whatever the call to action was within the lead magnet. And if you have any doubts, or if you haven't actioned it yet, don't worry. Here's something that you can do to help you take that next step. Because if you think about it, if someone asks for something from you, you deliver it and they don't action it, if they can't even action the first step, they're not going to work with you. If you can get them to action the thing that they actually asked for in the first place, then that is going to go a long way for you in the long run. And it's not about making them feel bad. It's about saying, hey, I just want to follow up if you've got any questions for me. I'm here if you need me. Like that kind of care and that kind of nurturing is going to go a long way. So really inviting those questions back, and just reassurance that if they haven't, you've still got their back. And maybe here's a simple piece of advice type stuff. There's also this kind of content is a great way to get people to diversify how they hear about you. So whilst you don't want to go back into, or you may not want to go back into, here's how you can work with me, you can find other things that they can do. So if you want someone to follow you on a social media channel, that's a really great way for them to hear from you more often, because if they say they're following you on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever the preferred social media channel is, that's two ways that they can see your messaging: email marketing and social media. So that's going to mean more of your content could be in front of them, and that is going to help increase their awareness of you. So thinking about within the welcome sequence, it's not just about offering services, or soliciting replies. It's also about how can I expand my reach with the audience as much as possible.
Yeah, and like, bringing it back to that point you said before, people are joining your list at different kind of stages of even their decision-making journey, like where they are at. And if they're right at the beginning, increasing awareness means that when they are ready to go forward and go, right, now I really need, some help with my email marketing. Well, Tamsin's been in my inbox and I've been seeing her on social media, you're front of mind straight away. So as soon as they ask themselves the question, like, who should I reach out to, or who could I get to help me with this? You're front of mind because you've been there, because you're in front of them in different ways. So I love that, you can really use email to help leverage your other forms of marketing, get them to, engage with you in other channels as well. That's really awesome. Yeah. Brilliant. And is there a fifth one? Is that? So moving on to with the next part, it's really about, yes, you've delivered them something that they've asked for, but you can also think about delivering them a piece of educational content that they haven't asked for. But it's still going to be very useful for them. So it might be something that you normally reserve for paying clients, and now you're going to give them a little slice of that pie. It could be an educational post, or it could be a video, could be some extra tips, whatever it is, it's the next logical step. And it is complementary to your sign up incentive. So you're not taking them off in a whole other direction within your business. It's just really focusing them and in on what you want them to do, why it's important, because they may not know that this piece of content is valuable, and also just letting them know that it's something that's a bit exclusive. You might want to make sure it's nothing that is published publicly. It's something that only a paying client might find or receive. And it just makes them feel a little bit more special. So it can really deepen that trust that they know you've got their back. And again, this is another great piece of content where you can say, here's 3 ways I help people, because you've just delivered a great value to them. So, yeah. Yeah, amazing. That is incredible. I love that there's this, little extra surprise in there that they weren't expecting, that, and it's quite easy because usually you have this already, right? It's something that already exists in your business. So it's not actually any more work for you. Yeah. It's just something that you already have that you can give them as a little extra piece to really cement that connection and really show what it's like when you do work together. So
absolutely, but it's surprise and delight. So as marketing. Yeah, and then that sort of brings us to the very last piece of the puzzle, which is around addressing objections. So really just putting words around the questions that people will have, and helping them identify why you're the right person to solve their problem or to work with them. This may feel like it's quite a big piece of work, but it will come from something that you would have already established within your own business. So what are some of the barriers, some of the objections that people might have to not working just with you, but maybe your industry in general? What are some of the things? Usually it's down to time and money, but there might be other things that are circumstantial, that if you put words around them, people feel like they're being seen by you. And they're like, oh, yeah, that person really gets me, and I really understand how it is to work with them. So a classic example might be setting up the problem solution scenario. So it would be around a common reality, something that holds them back from achieving the outcome that they want. So, for example, If you are looking to work with a coach who is going to help you organize your life, declutter your calendar or your home, whatever that looks like, maybe you could do that yourself, but you don't. So as a coach, someone who is emailing you, you would start to get them to put words around that. Why are you not doing the thing that you can probably do yourself, but you don't? And get them to think a little bit deeper about their problem and how they might go about solving it. So you obviously outline the solution because that's what your services are. And you would also back that up with some kind of testimonial from a client. So this might be a bit more of a direct sell. I wouldn't say it's a hard sell, but it's more of a direct sell. But it's really sort of getting people to not just passively take in content that you're providing, but just to get them to think, why am I not achieving the solution that I really desire? What is holding me back? And that's where this getting them to overcome their barriers or the things that are holding them back can do with this kind of email.
Yeah. So powerful as well when you actually... Often I think we don't really know what it is that's holding us back until somebody turns the mirror and you know you actually see yourself reflected there, like, oh my goodness, right, that is exactly what's going on. And sometimes it's not necessarily that we can't do it, it's just that there's other things happening that are preventing you from taking those steps. So
absolutely.
How can you get them off, to even just take a step forward and get the help that they need? They're not doing it themselves because of whatever reason.
Yeah, and you'll usually find if they don't have the skill set or they don't have the time or there's always something that is a bigger barrier to getting them across the line to working with you or to even cementing that you are the person. And this kind of piece of content, it could be at the end of the last email in your sequence. It could even be higher up. Like, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve and where the people are at. So, and how you are qualifying the leads. So these kind of areas that I've spoken about, they don't have to be with the exception of the first one, they don't necessarily have to be in the order that we spoke about. But if you know your business and actually, I really want to put this type of content higher up in my welcome sequence, absolutely do that. That is, there's no formula for a welcome sequence. It's down to what business you have, who you serve, what you need to say, and what they need to hear are the things that you need to understand.
Yeah, I love that. It's so powerful. And I think what you've shared there, it's away the guesswork of, well, what do you need to put in it? Well, here you go. Here's a really great list of things to put in your welcome email sequence that helps someone go from feeling like a complete stranger to actually feeling like they know you, they know what you do, they know how you might fit together, and even, where they're at right now. Like, is this a now thing, or is this a, hey, this sounds awesome, I'm going to keep on following because I'll be ready for this soon. They might be in that future category, but it just means that you're building a really strong email list of people who are going to open your emails as well, which is what we want. Because give me the stat, I know that you've got it there somewhere, that the emails actually convert, one of the highest converting methods for making sales out of any marketing method, isn't it? So what is the stat? Because I don't know.
It varies. It's more of a ratio. Like, every dollar you spend, you return like $38, or sometimes it's in pounds, but it's more of a ratio than a currency thing. So it's essentially saying, for every dollar you put into email marketing, you will return on average $38, and that's across industries. So,
wow.
And that is really looking at all the different marketing channels, so SEO and social media and all the different types as well. Somebody's done a big study on this, and email marketing is one of the top performing channels. I'd say SEO is pretty close as well. It's quite high up there, but again, you might find that your business, like if you are more of a professional or you are a coach, you will have two different kinds of outcomes with email marketing. Just think about how you might want to use it for your business. But absolutely, I always say the first thing you need to do is get your automations in order and start with the welcome sequence. If you do nothing else for the next few months,
just there. Yeah, exactly. Because that then person is then a warm prospect on your email list. And I think what you just mentioned as well with SEO, SEO is interesting. People can find you, but that may not actually be the thing that converts the sale. Especially when we're talking about services, people might find you, but then that next step is going to be some form of engagement, whether they've booked a call with you or whether they've opted into your list. Email is involved somewhere, right? Even if they've booked a call with you, you're going to be emailing about, hey, we're having a call. It happens via email. So email is it is embedded in pretty much every part of your business communication and the sales process, which is probably why it's so high converting.
Absolutely. And I think it's so true. I have spoken to people and I find that they do still look at marketing channels in isolation. So sometimes by the time that they come to me, they'll say, well, what can email marketing do for me? And I'll look at how they've set up their business, because if you don't have traffic going to your website, you can't capture new leads. If you're not actively promoting your incentive for people to sign up, like all these things can count against your creating a great list if you're not actively promoting it and you're not driving traffic to your website. So I can't then say, oh, fantastic, I can help you with email marketing. We're going to do this, and achieve this, because there's no groundwork set up. So looking at email marketing in isolation isn't going to help the overall, your bottom line. It's, as you said, it's working in conjunction with everything that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, bring it back to that piece, it is a really personal method of communication, which is why it is so high converting. So, you do this little bit of work to think, well, I'll get a great welcome sequence going. You've got a warm list, and just think about what happens if you do have something to offer. You email out your list and talk about it. Those people are already in what you'd call your inner circle, because you've been communicating with them in a place that they've invited you to. They invited you into their inbox, which is quite different from, content that's on Facebook, for example, which is, they're choosing to go to Facebook and have a look around, but it's not their personal space. You're really in their personal space in the inbox. So
it's like the VIP lounge versus the trendy, crowded, loud bar that is social media. It's one of the few places, or the only place on the online, where you curate the content. It doesn't get shown to you. You actually are in charge of like 99% of it. I mean, there might be some ads around if you're on, Gmail or Yahoo, but you decide who comes and who goes. You are the gatekeeper of that personal space. So yeah, once someone allows you to be in there, just don't take that for granted.
I love that. So if anybody's listening and they want to, learn more from you about email, or maybe even reach out to you for some support with what their email sequence, their welcome sequence should look like, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, so my website, emailparade.com.au. Also, my social handles are just Email Parade. I'm on mostly on Instagram, a bit on Facebook, and otherwise reach out to me at Tamsin at emailparade.com.au. I'm always open for questions. I do have done for you services, and especially around the welcome sequence. I do makeovers, and I also do done for you from scratch. So that's just two ways that we help people. But yeah, come and visit me. I'm happy to chat.
Yes, amazing. And Tamsin does send out lots of really useful info in her own emails as well. So, go and jump on her list and get the full experience of her emails, and you'll see that she really does know what she's talking about. They're ones that I tend to open and read, come into my inbox. So thank you so much for your time today, Tamsin. It's been really informative, really valuable. I hope that if you've been listening along and you're not driving a car or anything like that you've hopefully been taking notes. I think that we can probably all improve our welcome sequences based on today's episode. So I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was so nice to chat.
Yeah, likewise. And we'll talk again really soon.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.